Hello, student. Good morning. I hope you all will be safe and sound. As in the civics, we are talking about the judicial system of our country. Under this one, we have read about the independent judiciary, about the structure of the courts in our country. And after this one, we have also make differences between criminal and the civil laws. After this one, we have to discuss about does everyone have access to the courts? Can everyone, every citizen of the country can reach to the court or access to the courts? So the explanation has been given. Let's have a discussion over it. In principle, all citizens of India can access the courts in this country. In principle mean to say in real, whatever the rules and regulations are there. So all the citizens of the country, they can access, they can reach to the courts in this country. This implies that every citizen has a right to justice through the courts. It means to say that every citizen of the country, each and every citizen of the country, have the right to get the justice through the courts. Okay, as we read earlier, the courts play a very significant role in protecting our fundamental rights. As we have discussed in the chapter in the previous videos about a court, it plays an important role in protecting of our fundamental rights. Okay, as you all know that there are 6 fundamental rights which have been provided by the country, mainly by the constitution. So these for protecting these fundamental rights, so we can approach to the court, and it plays a very significant and important role. If any citizen believes that their fundamental rights are being violated, they can approach the court for justice to be done. So if someone believes, if any citizen of the country, if he or she believes that their fundamental rights are being just taken away and their fundamental rights are being violated by someone, so they directly can approach to the court for getting the justice. Okay, while the courts are available for all, in reality, access to court has always been difficult for a vast majority of the poor in India. So what they have given here, while the courts are available, as you all know that these courts, whatever that is, whether that is apex court, that is the highest court, and state level courts and the local level courts, these are available for everyone. Everyone can approach to these courts, but in reality, access to the courts has always been difficult for a vast majority of the poor in India. Mainly, it means to say that most of the people belongs from the poor sections of the society. It is very difficult for them to be in access to the courts, to reach to the courts. That is why the legal procedures involve a lot of money and that is paperwork, as well as take up a lot of time. As you all know that, so many of the cases these are pending in our courts. So if you are going for the legal procedure in these courts, it involves a lot of money. You need a lot of money, that is a lot of paperwork, as well as it take up a lot of time. For a poor person who cannot read and whose family depend on a daily wage, the idea of going to court to get justice often seems remote. So they have given the example here about the poor person who cannot read, who is illiterate, and whose family totally depend on the daily wages. Means daily they are doing the work and just feeding their families. So for these people, it is very difficult. That is the idea to going to the court to get justice often seems remote. It is very difficult for them to go and to get the justice. In response of this, the Supreme Court in the early uh, for resolving these all the problems in response of this one thing, what the Supreme Court has done in the early 1980s devise a mechanism of public interest litigation or pill to increase access to the justice. Mean to say, this is pill. Pill means public interest litigation. In Hindi, it is known as Janhit Yachika. Yeah, that is, this system was also introduced by the Supreme Court that more and more people can access to the justice. It allowed any individual or organization to file a bill in the High Courts or in the Supreme Court. So what happened in this one appeal? So it allow any individual or the organization or the group of the people to file appeal, to file an public interest litigation in the High Courts or the Supreme Court on behalf of those whose rights are being violated, on behalf of those people whose rights are being taken away by someone and whose rights are being violated. They can approach to directly to the High Court or the Supreme Court. Okay, the legal process was greatly simplified, and even a letter or telegram addresses to the Supreme Court or the High Courts could be treated as a bill. Mean to say, for this one, it is the legal process. It was greatly simplified, means greatly it was very simple. Even a letter or a telegram by writing in the postcard addressed to the Supreme Court or the High Court, you could treat that could be treated as a bill, as a public interest litigation. Mean to say, if your rights are being violated, so you can just write a letter to the Supreme Court or to the High Courts. Okay, then after this one, what they have given, in the early years, bill was used to secure justice on a large number of issues such as rescuing bonded laborers from inhuman work conditions and securing the release of prisoners in Bihar who had been kept in the jail even after their punishment term was complete. So in the beginning, this bill, this public interest litigation, that was used to get the justice, to secure the justice on a large number of issues. A large number of issues, this interest litigation was used by the individual and by the organizations for securing their justice, such as they have given rescuing bonded laborers from inhuman working conditions, means whoever the bonded laborers were there, by them, that is, inhuman work conditions were being done by their owners, and securing the release of the prisoners in Bihar, that is, to releasing of the prisoners in the Bihar who had been kept in jail even their punishment term was complete. So these sort of the means rights which were violated. So for getting the real justice, so this public interest litigation was used. Did you know that the midday meal that the children now receive in government and government aided schools is because of a bill? Here they have given the example of the midday meal scheme. I mean to say, at the daytime in the government schools, the children are getting mainly the meal during the daytime. That is mainly in the government and government aided schools because of the bill. See the photos on the right and read the text below to understand how this come about. That here they have shown the peaks, 1, 2, 3, 4. They have numberized it, and here downside you can see what the things have been given here. In photo 1, in 2001, the drought in Rajasthan and Odisha meant the millions face an acute shortage of food. The photo second, that is, meanwhile, the government godowns were full of grains. Often this was being eaten away by rats. Okay, so that in 2001, the drought area means mainly the drought in the Rajasthan and Odisha. Many of the millions of the people, they face the shortage of food. In photo second, in pic second, they have shown about whatever the government granaries are there, the government godowns are there. They were full of grain, and often this was being eaten away by the rats. Then in photo 3, in this situation of hunger amidst plenty, an organization called the People Unions of Civil Liberties, that is PUCL, find a bill in a Supreme Court. It stated that the fundamental rights to life guaranteed in Article 21 of the Constitution included the right to food. So in third week, they have shown here, this has been raised, the voice has been raised, and about this one, People's Union of Civil Liberties. So they have told under the right to life, which has been stated in the Indian Constitution under Article 21A, it also provides the right to food. The state excuse that it didn't have adequate foods was shown to be wrong because the godowns were overflowing with grains. The Supreme Court then ruled that the state had a duty to provide food to all. So these all the things they have shown here, how the people they got this one right. Then in Pick 4, that is, it therefore directed the government to provide measure that is more employment, to provide food at cheaper prices through the government ration shops and to provide midday meals to the children. It also appointed two food commissioners to report on the implementation of government schemes. So these things that happens when the bill just filed by anyone. So this thing have been shown here, and you can see, and we have also read these all the things. Okay. After this one, for the common person, access to the court is access to justice. For common person, like we people, for common man, so access to court means to say to access to justice. The court exercise a crucial role. The court plays and function a crucial role, an important role in interpreting the fundamental rights of the citizens. As you saw in above case, the court interpreted Article 21 of the Constitution on the right to life to include the right to food. As we have read in the that is in the case of Rajasthan and Odisha, the same thing like that. The court it play an important role for just protecting the fundamental rights of the citizens. That is, the court interpreted that it explained the Article 21 of the Constitution on the right to life to include the right to food as well. They therefore ordered the state to take certain steps to provide food for all, including the midday meal schemes. Then the court that has given the order, as we have discussed in this one, in the previous example, the same thing, it has just given, the court has given the order to the state government to provide the food for all, including the midday meal schemes as well. However, there are also court judgments that people believe work against the best interests of the common person. Although there are also the court judgment, whatever the court judgments are there, that people believe work against the best interest of the common person. For example, you will come to know by example this one. Activists who work on issues concerning the right to shelter and housing for the poor believe that the recent judgment on eviction are a far cry from early judgment. Mean to say, whoever the activists, social activists in the society, what they did, who work on issue, who work on the different kind of the issues concerning the right to shelter, concerning the right to shelter for the poor persons and housing for the poor, believe that the recent judgment, whatever the recent judgment has been given by the courts on the eviction means removing from their places, okay, are a far cry from earlier judgment. While recent judgment tend to view the slum dwellers as encroacher in the cities. Whatever the recent judgment has been given by the court, so it shows the slum dwellers, whoever the slum dwellers in the cities, so these are the encroachers on the cities. Earlier judgment, like in 1985, Olga Tellis versus Bombay Municipal Corporation, had tried to protect the livelihood of the slum dwellers. So here, whatever the judgment had been given by the Bombay High Court, so regarding to the slum dwellers in Bombay city, so they were just considered as the encroacher in the city. So what happened? Where and that is the Olga Tellis versus Bombay Municipal Corporation. Whatever the case was there, it had tried to protect the livelihood of the slum dwellers over there. And downside that has been given here. Whatever the decision and whatever the discussion that took place in the court. The judgment of the Olga Tellis versus Bombay Municipal Corporation established the right to livelihood as a part of the right to life. Okay, for earning the livelihood, for just managing the things, so it is also the part to the right of life. The following aspects from the judgment points to the way in which the judge linked the issue to the right to life to the part of livelihood. Okay, what happened in this one? The sweep of the right to life that is conferred by Article 21 is wide and far reaching. Life means something more than mere animal existence. Mere means only animal existence. Mean to say, whatever the right to life has been provided by the Indian Constitution, that is under Article 21A, so it is having a wide meaning. Means most of the more of the things are included under the right to life. It doesn't mean only that life cannot be extinguished or taken away, as for example by the imposition and execution of the death sentence. That means to say that has been given that right to life, it doesn't mean only that right cannot, that is life cannot be taken away by such. For example, by the imposition and execution. Execution mean to say that is to hang on somebody's death sentence. Okay, except according to the procedure established by the law. It is but one aspect of right to life. An equally important facet, real, that is, of the right is the right to livelihood, because no person can live without the mean of living. Mean to say, if you wanted to survive, if you wanted to live in the world, so definitely you must have some source of earning. Through this one, you can earn the livelihood. So that is why this livelihood also come under the right to life, that is the means of livelihood. Okay, then that the eviction of a person from a payment of that is payment of slum, which that is inevitably lead to the deprivation of his means of livelihood in the that's proposition, which does not have the established in each individual case. It means to say, whatever they were removed from their these persons from their slums, so it will, that is definitely it will lead to the that is deprived, they are depriving, they are that's removing away of his means of livelihood. If they are moving, if they are removing from the slums, so definitely they will also remove from their livelihood. Okay, in the present case, that facts constituting that is empirical evidence justify the conclusion that the petitioner live in the slum and on payment, because they have small jobs to nurse in the city, and for them there is now here else to live, nowhere else to live. It means to say, if they will be removed from the slums and they are doing the that is very minor and meager jobs and meager income, very less income is there. So if they will be removed from the slums, so definitely they will have nowhere else to live. They choose that is a pavement or a slum in the that is that is weaknesty of their place work, and to lose the pavement on the slum is to lose the job. Mean to say, if they will be removed from their slums, if they will be evicted from their areas, mainly from the slums, so definitely they will lose their jobs. The conclusion, therefore, is that the eviction of the petitioner will lead to that is deprivation of their livelihood, and consequently to the deprivation of life. Definitely, their livelihood will not be there; that will be taken away. So definitely, they will also lose their life. This is the case regarding to the slums over there. Then another issue that affects the common person's access to the justice is the that is inordinately long number of years that court takes to hear the case. Another issue regarding to the courts that has been given, a common person's access to the justice in ordinately long numbers of years. Mean to say, if the case has been filed, so it takes a very long time to get the justice. That is why that has been given here the phrase that is justice delayed is justice denied. So that is why this phrase is often used to characterize this extended time period that courts take. So that is why this phrase that is justice delayed, injustice denied. So this phrase is used for that is categorizing the decision of the courts, which takes a very long period of time. Okay, here that has been given number of judges in India. So you can see at present time, this is there, the Supreme Court, the sanctioned strength that is 31, working strength 28, and vacancies 3. Mean to say, one Chief Justice and 30 other judges in the Supreme Court. In High Courts, that has been given section strength in all the High Courts in the country, 1079, and working this one and vacancies. And District Courts, you can see here. Okay, however, in spite of this, there is no denying that the judiciary has played a crucial role in democratic India, serving as a check on the powers of the executive and the legislature, as well as in protecting the fundamental rights of the citizens. However, in spite of these, whatever the loopholes and whatever the shortcomings are there, so there is no denying, means there is no doubt that the judiciary is also playing, it has played a very important role in democratic India for just serving as a check on the powers. It is just also checking on the powers of the executive and the legislature. These are the other organs of the government, and it is also protecting the fundamental rights of the citizens. The members of the Constituent Assembly had quite correctly, that is, envisioned a system of courts with an independent judiciary as a key feature of our democracy. So, whoever the Constituent Assembly, whoever the members in the Constituent Assembly who framed the constitution for the country, these members had quite correctly envisioned. Okay, these persons had quietly means correctly. They have just vision a system of court in our country as well with an independent judiciary. They just envision an independent judiciary in our country, and it is playing now a main role, a key feature of our democracy. This has been given about the judicial system in our country. Okay. After this one, they have given the question answers that we will discuss in the next one. Okay.